What's good on the hood? UFC 324 is this weekend, and I'm going to be taking a look at some heavyweights that will be competing on the main card. Waldo Salsa Boy Cortes-Acosta versus Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. This is a pinnacle matchup in the heavyweight division between two ranked contenders to see who might be able to loop themselves into a title fight later this year as we sort out the top of the division. I will be going with Waldo Cortes-Acosta, and here is why. So before we get into it any further, I'm going to look into the overall matchup. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, we're going to jump to the rankings right now. He's number 5. Derrick Lewis is number 8. If you've not been aware, Waldo Cortes-Acosta, he fought, I believe, 5 times in 24 times. Let's see, 5 times in 2025, and he got 4 wins. Let's see, beat Ryan Spence, Sergey Spivak, Sergey Pavlich, he lost to Sergey, and Shamil Gaziev. And then he's doing another fairly quick turnaround. Not too quick, 2 months. It's quick and for some UFC fighters, ... So he's on a lot of momentum. And if you look all the way back, he has lost, 2 times, I believe, in the UFC and 9 wins. And he has won 3, 6, 7, 8. Was it 7 of his last 8? So the point is he's on a hot run right now, and that Shamil Gaziev, that was on, I believe, 3 weeks notice. Very, very good win. The Ante Delija, he was a big prospect coming in, training partner of Tom Aspinall. That was a nice comeback win after losing his eyeballs. But on the flip side, you have Derrick Lewis. Derrick is a mainstay of he's a mainstream of the UFC in the heavyweight division. He has was the most knockouts, the most finishes, most knockouts both in the division and as a promotion. 24 wins by KO, 1 win by submission, 4 by decision. And he's like I said, he's had how many fights in the UFC? He's had 30 fights, 20 wins, 10 losses. Not too shabby, I'd say, for heavyweight standards. And like I said, he's still ranked number 8, so he's hovering while Waldo made some leaps and bounds and got into the top 5. Derrick Lewis obviously has had some ups and downs in his career. Most recently, he's got a few ups coming off a rather red period. Obviously, he got finished by Tai Tuivasa, finished by Sergey Pavlich, and finished by Sergey Spivak before finally going back and defeating a taxi driver, ultimately losing an extremely boring, I believe it was 5-round decision to Almeida, but not much stock was lost there. Beat another taxi driver, Rodrigo, and most recently took out a very touted prospect, Talson Teixeira, very quick fashion. And yeah, so this one I feel like is a crossroads, simply because not just the rankings, but the fact is we have Waldo Cortes, he is very much up and coming, not to mention his shenanigans wearing a Pirates eye patch, already trying to build that storyline with the current champ, Aspinall. But on top of it, he's just taking advantage of activity, and clearly there's a benefit when you're working with the heavyweight boys, and these boys definitely have some fluff to lose. They could probably, who knows, make it down to light heavyweight, but by no means true chubs in the division, but clearly the weight cut is not something that's holding them back, and he has not taken any severe injuries, nor has been KO'd this year or last year. So he took advantage, and he fought on average every 2.5 months, a little quicker actually. On the flip side, Derrick Lewis a little more inactive, but like I said, he's been around for ages. He made his UFC debut back in 2013, so 13 years in the business. Has some of the most memorable finishes I can think of. Curtis Blades, that uppercut going for a double leg. Beautiful stuff. Considered probably one of the most powerful punchers outside of maybe Anthony Rumble Johnson and Francis Ngannou. He's up there in that top 3 where it's like he hits you once, you might be dead, and if he doesn't, he might hit you with a 2-3 combo. You're probably dead. Ground and pound, extremely dangerous. But he's going against a guy that I don't want to say is a young up and comer, but I mean, Waldo is definitely newer into this division, especially for the mainstream audience. But he's made his impact, and he feels like the momentum is heavily on his side. Even with this one loss to the Russian. Where's the Russian's name? Pavlich. He didn't look terrible in that fight, and Pavlich is obviously very good on his own end, and he did get cracked here and there, but I mean, he went the full 3 rounds where Derrick Lewis, he only went, what was it, 55 seconds, if I'm reading this right. The point is, like, we haven't seen Waldo Cortez shown any sort of implication that he can't hang with the best of the best. And we know with the heavyweight division, just looking at the rankings, not all these guys are very well rounded. Obviously, Cortez and Derrick Lewis are not heavy wrestlers, so this will be a stand-up fight. But up until you get to that upper echelon of Curtis Blades, Cyril Gane, maybe even Aspinall, where outside of those top few contenders and the champ himself, it comes down to who's going to knock out the other guy first. And Cortez has shown, I feel like, a good amount of defensive whereabouts. He's pretty good, and for the most part, he's a boxer. He's going to go out there. He's good at jab. He's good at his cross. He's very good at his head movement. Good at distance management. And at times, he doesn't feel like he's afraid to get into a scrap, seeing as though it's heavyweight. Obviously, on the flip side, Derrick Lewis, again, he does throw some flying knees, and he's hit those most recently against one of the taxi drivers. But he also is a pretty good, I'd say, bruiser when it comes to just throwing his hands. But I feel like this is where, especially considering it's only a 3-round fight, I feel like Cortez, this is made for him to do some pitter-patter, tit-tat, hit that jab, play the distance management. Derrick Lewis historically is not the most gas tank-esque fighter, 3 rounds regardless. And I feel like this fight's destined to go to a decision. And I feel like Cortez is going to continue his rise. And despite the fact that he's fighting a guy below in the rankings, and he's already limited by the fact that he's already lost to number 3, I feel like this is setting him up to maybe fight Blades or even Volkov, who's probably the odd man out, seeing as though Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall may or may not be taking care of business later in the year, depending on Aspinall's eye. But I feel like this fight's going to go simply on the fact that Cortez seems to have a modestly good shin. He's hard to hit, and when he does get hit, it feels like he can circle out pretty well. But on the flip side, he's shown in his last, 2 fights, 2 finishes he got against Shamil and Ante Delija, where he's got power in his hands. And it's not even necessarily the power. It's like he has the precision where he can get that nice right hook. He can get that jab cross and then, go right into a ground and pound. And Derrick Lewis, obviously, is the king of knockouts. But I feel like he loses fights where if he doesn't get that hit, and sure, some of those losses are because he got taken down. There's lack of jiu-jitsu. Though if you know, jiu-jitsu doesn't work if you just stand up. This fight feels like it's destined to go to a decision, and it's going to rely strictly on the fact that Cortez is going to be the better boxer. He's going to outstrike Derrick. He's going to get hit, but I feel like Derrick at times isn't going to push the pace to, like I said, squeak those rounds. And there's always a chance that Derrick gets the finish. I'd probably go 70% Cortez, 30% Derrick. And well, the odds, I don't even know. The odds just aren't even there. But yeah, that's my thought. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Cortez is, well, let me know who you think's going to win. And riding my wave, do you think Cortez fights for the belt at the end of the year? Disregard all the potentials of John Jones, Alex Pereira, this and that. Just strictly looking at the pure rankings. Do you think Cortez will fight for the belt? And on the flip side, if Derrick gets this win, sure, he's number 8. Derrick's fought for the belt once against DC years back, but he's a fan favorite. He's a company man. I wouldn't be surprised if Derrick gets this win and maybe gets, propelled into a title fight strictly on based off how they've been doing it. Business first, sports second. He would be a perfect definition of that. Guaranteed fireworks in the heavyweight against any heavyweight for a belt. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed this. Keep an eye out. I'm going to do a few more breakdowns for some of the other fights on this card. So stay tuned. And thank you.